Welcome back. I just had a student come and get initiation from New York and they brought me this. Isn't that cute? I love it. Thank you so much. And you know, this student, they're doing wonderfully, and they said so clearly something very, very amazing. They said, you know, I was grasping and I was wanting more and grasping, and then I just thought, wait, doesn't feel right. And they let go. They just let go. I'm just going to do the practices that Forrest prescribed for me. I'm going to listen to my body. I'm going to listen to myself and follow along this progression and just see what happens. I'm going to watch it unfold and watch my own intuition about it unfold. They just said it so perfectly and so beautifully. It was just beautiful because when we're in the left brain, we're grasping. And we need to use some of that left brain to do our practices. That is correct. But then we have to enter into this, I don't know. I'm going to let go. I'm going to wait and see what arrives. I'm going to induce something and allow it to come up, but I'm not going to grasp. I'm going to call on it. I'm going to invite it in. I'm going to embrace it. And all of that is the right brain. And when you invite that into your practice, right, you let go of the grasping and you invite that into your practice, it is magical every single time. It was really, really beautiful to hear it. You know, I give information and then it comes back to me. They feed it, my student feeds it back to me, and it's like, oh, that's so beautiful. That you get it. That it's I know you get it because you're feeding it back to me so beautifully. It's magical. It's just magical. So I want to talk a little bit about that intuitive process, that intuitive unfolding of your practice, just a little bit. And I want to use the third chakra and the solar plexus and the heart as a way to talk a little bit about that. So let's get into it. So if you go back a few videos, I did a video called The Guardian, and in that I teach the Navi Technique. It's a really powerful technique. When you do this as a preparatory technique, so you don't have to kill yourself with it, you don't have to do it forever, but it's a very, very powerful preparatory technique. So we do that before we do the heart rate variability resonance, before we do the sitting very still and the Om Japa and the chakras. Before we do all of that, we do a little bit of this Navi technique, and it sets us up so wonderfully. It's kind of amazing. And that's what we want. We want to be set up. We want to make all of that other process a little bit easier, right? And that's why we do the Navi. And as we do the Navi, we concentrate on the third chakra. And the third chakra in different systems is described in different areas. So I get this question a lot: what is the correct location when I'm putting my mind on the third chakra? And for our purposes in Navi, from the oral tradition that I was given, it is behind the belly button. Now, it might be slightly higher than that. You might feel it initially slightly lower than that, and then you might find it creeps up a little bit as you Om into it, as you're doing the Navi technique. All of that is perfect, but as you feel it, for our purposes, we want to sense about 1.5 to 2 inches behind the belly button. So from the front of the body for Navi, going inward, specifically for this Navi technique, we want to start on the front of the body and go inward about 1.5 to 2 inches and feel in that area, and then just Om mentally into that area. So you can watch that video, The Guardian, and you can go through how to do the Navi technique. But I get this question a lot: where exactly is that third chakra? And we want to begin in that location behind the navel, and then we begin to sense a little bit with our feeling and our intuition. We want to sense for that pit of fear. Where do we feel that fear? Where do we feel that worry? Where do we feel that anxiety or anxiousness? Or maybe a little bit of nauseousness? Where do we feel that? And that is the exact location. Where you feel it is the place that it is. In acupuncture, they have this wonderful saying, the point is the point. So if I'm looking for the point right here, which is, I forget the name of the point, but it's between the first finger and the thumb, and it's in the web of the hand. Now I could do the point here, that's close. I could do the point back here, that's close. But when you hit the point, you will feel it. You'll go, oh, that's the point. And this is a wonderful point. And there's another point between the two bones right here. It's right before the elbow. And you feel the point and you press the point, right? So that's acupuncture. When you're searching for a point, they have this maxim, the saying, the point is the point. So in other words, you might find the point and feel drawn energetically to a point. And it's a little bit different than what you thought the description of the point was. And what they're trying to say is you've got to allow your practice of the points to develop to the point where you can allow yourself to be guided to the actual point. And when you find it, you find it. The point is the point. You found it, that is the point. But it doesn't look exactly like the description. The description was pointing you in a direction, and then you had to be there. You had to be present. You had to allow it to unfold, and then you found the point. That is the actual point. When you found it, when you connected with it. Not necessarily what was in a book or what was in a perfect description. You have to get past the perfect description and allow your actual experience to unfold. We use the description as the guide. We don't want to trash or lose the description. The description is there to help point us in the correct way, but then we have to let go and see what arises, and that will help us find the point, and then we know the point is the point. And you do that 100 times, 1,000 times, 5,000, 10,000 times, and now you really know the point. And all of the description makes sense, and all of your experience makes sense, and they come together, they integrate. They don't diverge, they integrate. And now we know the point is the point. So here we have the third chakra behind the belly button, and then we have the heart, right? And between that space, we have a large area, a large track, don't we? And so when we're oming into the chakras, we can feel this large track. And some people will say, some yogis will say to me, I feel almost another chakra in the area of the solar plexus. And they will say, can I om into that as well? Because I feel something there. Absolutely. You're feeling it there. Go ahead and om into what you feel. If I taught you the Kriya of Lahiri Mashaya, you don't need to adjust that technique per se. You could do a separate practice and om directly into the solar plexus. So you might om into the lower chakras and then come up into the solar plexus and just spend some time oming directly into the solar plexus. And so we were going through the technique of oming into the chakras, and we felt something. We felt drawn to om into this area, and we allowed that to unfold. We allowed ourselves to be guided into this direction that we can learn more about ourselves. So we used the description as a guide, and then we followed where the practice led us. And now we're beginning to be guided from within. And this is very important. This is the internal guru. A lot of times we have to be careful. We don't want our conscious mind to guide us. We don't necessarily want our subconscious to guide us, but we do want to be guided by the higher self. So when something seems very clear and very right and very inspirational and very beneficial, then we know we are being guided by the higher self, and we ought to follow that. And if we follow it and it leads to a good result, a good for us, good for our family, good for our friends, if it unfolds in a beneficial way, we know that was clear and good guidance. If it backfires, well, then maybe it was not guidance from the higher self. And that's how we begin to weigh it inside of ourselves. How can I differentiate between my conscious mind, my subconscious mind, and the higher self, the superconscious mind guiding me? How can I know which it is? It will always lead you in the right direction. It will be inspirational. It will be a high calling. Somebody told me I received an internal message, if I don't do something, I will be damned. Whoa, not inspirational, not a higher calling. That's a mix-up of fear from the subconscious, projecting through an internal voice. And so that's how we have to weigh these things inside of ourselves. Is this a high calling? Does this sound like a totally trustworthy parental figure? That's the higher self, always leading us in the right direction. And so we open up to that inside of ourselves. We do the Om Japa in the chakras. We do the Navi in the third chakra. And this helps us to clear out the fear, to clear out the subconscious, so that more and more the pure voice of the higher self manifests. So between the third chakra and between the heart, we have this large trek of territory. And if we were to take a look at these two chakras, down below, we're going to represent it by red, okay, the third chakra. And up above, we're going to represent the heart by blue. And so if we were to represent these two chakras, and you notice that if we make a line from below, and then we make a line from above, these two energy sources will overlap. And it's almost, if these two are interfacing very powerfully together, it's almost as if we have found another chakra between those two chakras. And so what happens if we Om into this extra seeming chakra? Well, we'll probably Om out all of our negative issues between fear and love. And isn't that amazing? Because, you know, if you look at almost every story ever written, isn't it a story between fear and love? Joseph Campbell wrote The Hero's Journey, and it was just a revelation, wasn't it? Because every story ever written is a little bit of the hero's journey, and the great stories match the hero's journey just beautifully and perfectly. You can pull out the hero's journey from the story. All great, great stories will follow the outline of the hero's journey. And that was one of the revelations of Joseph Campbell's book. It was just absolutely phenomenal. Star Wars are based off of the hero's journey. All of Star Wars. Why does it resonate? Why do we love that story? Because it is the hero's journey. And what is in the Bhagavad Gita? Arjuna is called on by the higher self, by Krishna. Krishna says, come, do battle. Do battle with yourself. And Arjuna says, wait. These are my family. These are my old tendencies. These are my friends. Why would I do battle? Why would I let them go? Why would I go inside when all my family is here on the outside? Krishna says, because I'm calling to you, because I'm whispering to you of something deeper. And so Arjuna is left between fear of letting go what he already has and going higher into love, following the call of the higher self. Every story is a story of the hero's journey between fear and love. And so we get caught in that mix right in between, right? And so you might feel that in the solar plexus as those two come together. You might feel the heart, and then you might feel more right between the heart and the throat. That's another possibility. I've felt that often. I've felt, okay, I Om'd into my heart, and then I want to Om right here, right above it, as I'm doing my practice. And when you feel that internal guidance, you have to follow that intuition. You have to follow it. We're listening to what we were told, and we're also listening to the voice inside, the still small voice inside of our own intuition, of the higher self, of Krishna, whispering to us, Krishna as representative of the higher self, whispering to us, telling us, go this way, try it out, see what happens. And if it unfolds and it helps us, and it helps our family, and it helps our friends, we know we've gone in the right direction. There is an unfoldment of our practice, an unfoldment of our own intuition, and our unfoldment of our recognition and following of the higher self internally. But will always lead to a good result. It will always lead us in the right direction. We might change course often, which is natural. If I'm going from LA to Hawaii, the plane does not go in a straight line. It actually tracks and tracks and tracks and tracks again. It makes continuous course corrections in order to get all the way to Hawaii. So we have to know that we're going to be guided, and it might look different and different and different again. And that's okay, because there's an overall destination that we're heading towards. So I hope you loved this. If you did, be sure to hit that bell down below so I can see all of you next time.